Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Asha Laaya Farm of Hope Deaf-Led Farm Workshop. My name is Bethany Wallace, and I'll be helping to make sure everything goes smoothly today as a facilitator. We also have Jessica Aubrey on tech. For anyone that needs technical assistance, please feel free to send her a direct message in the chat. Today's workshop is being interpreted, and we do ask that you remain muted and hide your video during the presentation. We also have enabled closed captioning, which should be available at the top of your screen if you choose to follow the captioning. This workshop is being recorded and will be available after the presentation on the app and website. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat function. We will be holding questions until the end, so please place those questions in the chat. NOFA New York's Winter Conference would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. We'd like to extend a special thanks to the Hudson Valley Farm Hub and Honey Dog Farm for making the app possible for us. Please take a minute to visit the marketplace and get to know our sponsors. At this time, I'd like to introduce our presenters, Jay Regmi, and also our interpreters, Manu Chetri and Xenia Perel. Thank you.
Namaste. Good afternoon, everyone. So today, you're going to see kind of an interesting phenomenon where we're actually using two different interpreters. We're using three different languages. I, Jay, am going to be signing in Nepali Sign Language, and then I, Manu, I'm going to be interpreting into American Sign Language, and then Zena will be voicing. So it takes a little more time, but it'll be totally fine. My name is Jay Regmi, and I was born in Nepal. As you can see from the photograph here in the slideshow, this is my home in the country that I grew up in, where we had a farm off in the country in Nepal, and my family had many generations of being farmers. It was in our tradition. So I've been here in America for about 4 or 5 years. Excuse me a minute. I'm hearing my voice all of a sudden. This is the interpreter speaking. Can we make that stop? Go ahead.
Zena, maybe if you turn if you mute Jay and Manu, you won't get that feedback. How's that?
Okay.
Oops. Now, actually, Zena, you need to unmute and I will mute Jay.
Sorry. There we go. Okay, everybody stop touching. All right, great. Okay. So I arrived here in the United States in Syracuse, New York, about 4 years ago. And since I've arrived here, I've been working with a group of people that we call Deaf New Americans, or otherwise known as DNAs. So as you can see, the photograph there, that was the area that I grew up in. It's very beautiful. We are representing the Deaf New American Advocacy, Inc. This is an organization that's been in existence in an informal way for about 10 years. But recently in 2022, we established ourselves as a not-for-profit called the Deaf New Americans Advocacy, Inc. And if you want to understand what Deaf New Americans means, it means individuals that are deaf who are refugees, immigrants, or asylum seekers. And they come to the United States and have very special needs. The Deaf New American Advocacy, Inc. serves a variety of individuals, a variety of ages from old to young. And we also serve individuals from a variety of countries who have come to the United States. And we also help serve their family members, or if we sometimes have hearing parents that have children that are deaf, and those are called CODAs, children of deaf adults. So we serve that entire group of individuals here in Central New York. As you can see, Jay is signing a Nepali sign, and Manu will translate or interpret it to American Sign Language. When the Deaf New American Advocacy, Inc. was established, we started providing a variety of different services. And one thing we chose to do is to establish a farm called Asha, Laaya, which is the sign for Asha, Laaya. This is the sign for that farm. And Asha, Laaya is a Nepali word that means hope. Well, Asha is a word that means hope in Nepal. And then Laaya is farm in Burma, in Burmese language. So our farm is Farm of Hope. That's our name when you translate it. Asha Laaya Farm has a specific goal, which is to establish the farm and be a model for deaf New American farmers all across New York State and across the United States. We hope that what we're doing here will be a model for other traditional farmers that want to set up our type of farm. There's no farm programs for deaf New Americans across the United States. And so we want to be the place that can start to establish this farm and then have an opportunity to empower other deaf New Americans in New York State and across the United States so that they can establish their own deaf-led farms. You can see our executive leadership team here in photographs. The 4 individuals, we work together as a team. Each of us have an equal share of leadership in regards to our organization. You see Manu, and then the next picture is Tamala. And then there's myself, Jay, and then there's Shamati, and all 4 of us work together to help get the services that we need for the farm and other things that we provide. So this slide shows a variety of things that we do here with the Deaf New American Advocacy Group. We provide a variety of services. One of the services that you see in this slide is advocacy. Well, first there's the Asha Laaya Farm, which is a hub for activities. And then we're also going to be providing services for deaf New American children and CODAs, children of deaf adults. We also provide advocacy in a variety of different ways. And we also provide services that are labeled case management, helping deaf New Americans get the services that they need in order to be successful. And we serve, we have the group that is involved with Asha Laaya Farm, and we have the CODAs, and we have the individuals who provide other services. And they're all the same group, but we have a variety of services that we can provide depending on what the needs are of the individuals. Oh, I love this picture. You see those chilies there? They are hot. Don't be misled. And so we're showing some photographs of the traditional vegetables that we like to grow. And as you can see, these vegetables are the types that the deaf New Americans would grow in their own country. And the types of vegetables that we use in cooking for our traditional foods that represent our culture. We also use a lot of spices and a lot of herbs in our cooking, and we want to be able to find those items. And so the best way is to grow our own. When you smell the cooking going on at the farm, the aromas are delicious and the spices are strong, but it's very good. Obtaining seeds for these traditional vegetables can be very difficult and very expensive. I was in a refugee camp, and there was no electricity, and we had to cook every morning and every evening. And also one of the difficulties for individuals in refugee camps was having to locate firewood, and also we had to cook our food twice a day because we had no refrigeration. We would basically cook the same types of foods in the morning or in the evening. One of the things that's very popular is the green pumpkins. That's used in a lot of our foods. And there's also pumpkin fronds. And boy, they are very expensive if you try to buy them in the Asian stores. So we want to grow those on our farm so we can have access to them. And then you see up in the corner a picture of one of our favorite food, momos, which is a type of a dumpling. And they are delicious. Our food tends to be very spicy and full of flavors. And we make sure that things have, the foods that we cook have a very strong flavor and aroma. And you can also see the type of stove that we would cook on. We have a gathering every year at the farm where we cook our traditional foods. And we try to tone it down a little bit for our American attendees. Before COVID hit, we did every year have a gathering. Unfortunately, we weren't able to do that in the last few years because of safety reasons. So we're very excited about having this celebration happen again, come together and celebrate the harvest and cook and eat together. Here's some examples of some of the things that we will be growing. Something very important to us are greens, and some of them look like weeds. And if you pick them and cook them, you realize that they're full of vitamins and flavor, and they have a lot of health benefits. So some things that here grow as weeds, we cultivate and use for our cooking. We don't even have to really plant them. They just grow on their own. And so these are some of the leafy items that we will have growing in our farm. And they're very healthy, full of vitamins. And it's interesting, if you can see up on the top left, that that vegetable is used for pain management. That can help your body if you're in pain. It's kind of like our form of Tylenol. So if we have aches and pains, we'll use that green in order to help with our pain management. So when the deaf New Americans are at the farm, they also go out and they'll forage and collect what in America people consider to be weeds, but instead are really nutritious or medicinal for us. We also have a tradition that actually here in America, when a woman is pregnant, they tend to give them prenatal vitamins. So another item that we see here, that's a item that we use for women that are pregnant that provide a lot of vitamins and a lot of health benefits. So these are just some greens that we grow or forage that people can use for a variety of purposes. So you may think that that looks like a weed, but indeed it is very healthy and very useful in our culture. Some of them are cooked. And we also hope to educate people in the future about some of these health benefits. We want to set up some farm to table events so people can enjoy the food and the traditions that we have grown up with. Now, these items here these are different herbs. Oh, you can actually glean from the forest. They're not planted in the garden, but instead they're actually foraged from the forest, and these have medicinal purposes. So the deaf New Americans take the opportunity to go to the forest area and glean some of these items. So we'll go find these in a forest area, kite the items, and then bring them home and dry them. For example, when a woman has just had a baby, we have specific herbs that we give in milk or in food to help a woman recover quicker from their pregnancy. And some of them we grind up into a flour and put into food items. And then we also have some herbs that we use to protect our immune system. So here's some of the other items that we'll be having at the farm. And one thing that happened is when we arrived here in the United States, things that for us were free because we could forage them were very expensive if you tried to purchase them in the Asian stores. The deaf New American groups, individuals, when they arrived here in the United States, they were all very, very isolated. And so we wanted to find a way to gather the deaf New Americans in our area together and have events where people could get together and socialize. And so here's some photographs of some of those events. We come together, we share vegetables that are grown and eat together. similar to the celebrations that we would have when we were in the refugee camps in Nepal. So we're taking those traditions from our home country and then we're establishing them here. We also get a chance to just talk with each other freely and share stories and what's been going well and difficulties that we're facing. It's a wonderful time to gather together. We also have deaf New Americans that come from other communities. And when they see what they have, they want to replicate it. And so that's one of our biggest goals, is to be able to support them in the future to set up their own deaf-led farms in their communities. And this is a very good opportunity for all of us to come together, share meals, support one another. It's a one place where we can gather together and share our language and our culture. Deaf New Americans are often isolated. And so this is a wonderful opportunity to gather together and have community. Now we have a short video to show you. We just wanted to give you some more visual understanding of the environment where we are from and what we would like to establish here. You can see the different vegetables, the different people, the different cultures. And so you can feel free to watch the video. There's no words or sound. And while it's going on, I'll also give a few tidbits about deaf history and explain some of the visuals that you're seeing. And so we want to be able to, we're very excited about our Deaf New American led farm. I myself, Manu, the interpreter, I'm going to explain a little bit about deaf history. In the past, deaf individuals were quite oppressed and suffered abuse and neglect. Sign language was forbidden in many countries, including the United States in places. And some people, if they were seen signing, they were forced their hands would be tied, or they'd be forced to drink hot water, hoping it would release their vocal cords so that they could speak, or they would put different things in our ears to try to make us speak. They would tape our mouths shut, or tie our hands up to keep us from using sign language. Deaf people are at times not allowed to marry, or not given opportunities to have equity in their communities. In many cultures, deafness is looked down upon. And, there's a lot of struggles within the deaf community. And so we've experienced many of these things in our own life journey. So that's one reason that, we have experienced so much oppression over the years. Sign language is our language, but it's not, sign languages are not recognized all over the world. So we really struggle to help other people understand how important it is that deaf people are allowed to use their native language so that they can be on an equal playing field with other individuals. When there's no sign language allowed, it's very frustrating. And there's very few spaces for deaf individuals to come together and be comfortable and able to use their language at that time with no interference. There are deaf individuals that come here to the United States from different countries. And we hope that they'll be able to establish deaf-led farms like we have. And so we want to support them in that goal. We want to support the deaf New Americans in creating their own safe spaces. We want to be able to empower them and allow them to support their own communities. I believe someone has their mic on. So I hope that you can see our goal here, and we can have this be a ripple effect where other communities will be able to have their own, they can have a place where they can trust one another and have a farm similar to ours and an agency similar to ours. So you're here, you're seeing how we're starting right from the beginning here. So if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat, and then we'll have them read and interpreted. So we are, I'm happy to be able to share with you about our dream coming to fruition. This has been a long journey for us, and our goal is that we want to set up Asha Laaya, and we'll be able to support our traditional beliefs and our cultural practices, and also empower other deaf new Americans to do the same. That's the whole goal and mission of Asha Laaya and the Deaf New American Advocacy Inc. So anybody have any questions?
There is a question in the chat. It's mentioned that some of the plants that were shown during the slide that were weeds were recognized, and they were wondering if you could share more about what some of the names of those plants are.
Now Manu's interpreting the question to Jay. We're going to go back to the slide with the there. Okay. What's the name of that one at the top? Bathu, that's the Nepali name, Bathu. That's the one we use for pain control. If someone's been out in the field working all day, then you'll drink some, maybe you'll all be taking Tylenol or drinking a glass of wine, but instead we use that weed, and it really helps with pain management. Palunge, Palunge. To be honest with you, we don't know the American names, but Palunge, yeah. That's very popular in the summertime. In the wintertime, it doesn't grow so here, but during the summer here, you can find it growing in a lot of places, maybe in your home, in your grass. And at the farm, it just grows naturally by itself. And so we can find it and eat it. Those are used maybe really more like vitamins, and they have a lot of vitamins and a lot of health benefits. In the corner, I'm trying to figure out how to know which one we're talking about. No, can't see it. Oh, well. The other one in the corner, you can see the ones that are very small, the very small leafy ones. Those are Kanchi, Kanchi, I think it's pronounced, or kanji. If a woman is pregnant, I keep switching between Nepali sign and American sign. So if a woman is pregnant, they will use that particular plant to feel healthy. It's kind of like if you go to the hospital and they give you, they give you vitamins, the doctors will assign or give you vitamins to take during your pregnancy. It's the same type of thing. We use that for vitamins, because where we grew up, we didn't have any access to medical care. There were no access to vitamins whatsoever. And so this is a traditional herb that we use to help our health while we were pregnant. And then there's the pumpkin fronds. You can see those up in the corner. The pumpkin leaves. The pumpkins have the fronds that grow up, and we break those off and we eat those. We cook them and they eat them. And they are very popular. And the other thing is they're very, very expensive if you try to buy them in the Asian market. If you go to an Asian store, they are more expensive than meat. They're like more expensive than chicken. A chicken is cheaper than the pumpkin fronds. And we believe that those are very beneficial for the eyes, to help your vision be clear. and to help with health in a variety of different ways. And the pumpkin fronds themselves are, we actually had some this morning to eat. They were delicious. I think there's still some here on a plate right next to me, as a matter of fact. Do you have more questions?
So I wanted to share, there was some response to the question of plant names. Zinyan shared that at the top left is lamb's quarters or white goosefoot, that the bottom right is purslane. And I think that there was an amaranth, but not sure what the taproot was. And then yes, confirming the top right is squash vine. I'm just reading through, forgive me. And then we have another.
Right, those are the pumpkin. Other question?
Yep. What are some barriers deaf-led farms have accessing markets, and what are some ways you think the farming community could reduce those barriers?
Well, let's give you an example. One of the reasons for a deaf-led farm is to remove a language barrier. Let's say you went to China and you had to go to an area where everyone there just spoke that language, Mandarin or whatever, and you only knew how to speak English. When you went there, people would say, come on, come with us, come learn what we're doing over here, get involved in our farm. Well, there won't be any barriers, we'll figure it out, but it would never be an equal playing field for you because the language match would never happen. There'd be many barriers. And the same thing, if there's one person from China comes to a farm with Americans, the individual that speaks only Chinese would never really have full access to that farm where everyone spoke English. So having a deaf-led farm gives individuals an opportunity to not have those types of barriers. And a way to support deaf-led farms is to give deaf individuals the opportunity to lead on their own and support them with that leadership, give them the opportunity to, meet their dream and to be empowered to set up their own space. That's one way that farmers can help. We have seen deaf individuals in the past that have just really suffered and been oppressed, and they've just dealt with that. And so for us, having Asha Laaya there is a place where they can be comfortable without any barriers. There's no spoken English, so everyone can have access 100% linguistically. And, that part is so important, to share a common language, a common culture, common experiences, common understandings, share our tradition of farming with each other. And it's just a precious place to be. By eliminating the language barrier, you eliminate almost all barriers. Are there other questions or comments?
Yep. There is. So a question about foraging. When individuals first come to the US, do they learn from others who are already here, or are these plants immediately recognizable to them?
That's an interesting question. Let me interpret it for Jay. When deaf New Americans arrive here, they can recognize that plant. It looks similar to what they've had before. So they'll take it, they'll break it, smell it, see if it has a similar scent as what they're used to. Like, for example, you got to spell those again. The what? The F-R-E-N. Oh, the ferns. The ferns that you see. In Vermont, it's very popular to get the ferns that are up in Vermont because the deaf New Americans know the right place to pick them. And there's a forest area in Vermont where there's tons of these particular ferns that we use in our cooking. So the refugees will actually go up there and pick them by the bushel and then send them out to their families and relatives in different parts of the United States. Well, they'll just actually mail them out. Right. So there's an area up in Vermont where this particular fern grows wild and the refugees know to go there and they just harvest them, bring them home and then pack them up in boxes and send them out to individuals that want them and their friends and families, their relatives. And so here in Syracuse, what we've done is we've gone out to Chittenango or other places out in the country and we found similar plots of those ferns. I don't know, we don't even think of whether it's illegal or not. If we see them, we just go and pick them. And so we can also, in the farm, you can also see those same things growing. And so individuals can go out for a hike or a walk and see them and collect them. That's our way of getting them. Just why, when you're walking in the forest, you see something that looks familiar, the deaf New Americans will harvest it. So it's their natural, that's what they used to know in their own country. And they've recognized those same things here and are able to access them.
Wonderful. Thank you. Can you share, is teaching the non-deaf community about traditional recipes and uses part of the program?
Well, for cooking, we don't have to teach the deaf New Americans how to cook because they've been cooking since they were 2 years old. Our children are taught at a very young age to cook. We're teaching CODAs, children of deaf adults, our traditional farming and our traditional cooking methods. And we want to make sure that the children in our future our culture is preserved and it's going to be shared for generations. Currently, we're not teaching individuals that are hearing, but we will be setting up some cooking classes in the future. And then we'll be able to teach whoever wants to come and learn about how to cook our traditional vegetables. That's something for the future. Right now, Asha Laaya is just starting. And so we have a lot of ideas for the future, but right now we're just getting on our feet.
Great, thank you. Can you share if there are any new deaf American resources in Buffalo?
In the Buffalo area, there are some deaf New Americans there. But they don't have an organization similar to ours. The organization here in Syracuse is very unique, and we are very fortunate to have the leadership and the support that we do. Because we share the same culture and the same experiences, we can really accomplish a lot here. We're hoping that similar centers would be set up in Buffalo and in Rochester. This is a pilot program, and as we get this started, we're hoping to establish this type of agency and this type of farms in other areas. Also Pennsylvania and any area that has a population of deaf new Americans. We hope to be able to replicate our agency and our farming techniques in those areas.
Thanks. Can you share more about your access to farmland and what partnerships you currently have and any additional needs for your program?
We're willing to work cooperatively with anyone that's willing to help us. We'd be happy to sit down and explain more about what our needs are. There are a great number of needs, of course, whenever you're trying to run a farm, but and in regards to the land, I'm sorry, the interpreter is reinterpreting the question. There's an individual that own a farm that gifted us an acre of land to use for our farm. And we are very fortunate that we have 1 acre of our own. And we hope that as we develop this 1 acre, we'll be developing more techniques. And in a few years, we would like to actually be able to have a larger plot of land. But right now, again, this is, we're currently just using 1 acre, but we're definitely looking for opportunities in the future to increase our size and our capacity. And the farm is being run under the Deaf and New American Advocacy, Inc. program. Does that answer your question? Oh, and one more thing. Our board, the 4 individuals you saw on the slide, one thing that's very, very important to us is to use the farm to teach deaf children and children of deaf refugees about the farm. Unfortunately, one of the things that we're really struggling with is finances. Anytime you're starting a new not-for-profit, finances are very difficult. And teaching children involves a great deal of responsibility in regards to attaining the appropriate insurance, something that we were very surprised by. So where the CODA program and the program for our children is unfortunately on hold right now until we can acquire funding to get the insurance that's needed to provide a program for children, something we didn't anticipate.
Do you have a link you could share, or is there a place on your website that people can go to donate to your programming?
Yes, there is. You can see the website on the slide here. We don't really have a specific one for the farm. Yeah, you can use, if you'd like to make a donation, which would be wonderful, you can go to the deafnewamerican.org website, and there's a site there to donate. Currently, all of us that are working at the Deaf New American Advocacy, Inc. are working as volunteers as we're working hard to get grants and seek funding to be able to establish our farm and also our other services. So we're seeking grants, and if anyone has any ideas on good grants or good programs, please send them to us. This is because we're getting on our feet. It's because we are individuals not only from another country, but also that don't use English as our language. A lot of this is very difficult to navigate. It's not always easy. We have many barriers to actually getting a hold of grants. We've been doing this on our own. We've been working really hard and hit a lot of roadblocks, but we're on our way, which is very exciting. But it has been a very long process and difficult to navigate, becoming a 501c3 and becoming not-for-profit. It's been a lot of work.
Great, thank you. That is all of the questions that we have in the chat at this time.
Okay. I'd also like to say, ask a question to all of you. If in your communities where you live, whatever area you live in, if you find deaf individuals and deaf New Americans, many of them are isolated and never really have an opportunity to have an opportunity like ours. So please feel free. We would love to have you alert us to who they are, no matter where they are. We'd like to be able to contact them, and we can help them develop a vision for a farm or some other project. And when they see the pictures of the farm, you know, deaf New Americans tend to be very visual. It's not about seeing a lecture or reading information. It's about seeing the pictures and understanding what's available. So please feel free, if you find any deaf New Americans in your area, connect them with us, and maybe we'll be able to work with them as well.
I have one other question. Are there other services outside of the farm that you work to help deaf New Americans with?
Oh, we do a variety of services for the deaf New Americans here. We do advocacy. We give support for immigrants and asylum seekers and refugees. We're working with the deaf children and the CODAs. And we also help teach deaf New Americans life skills and how to navigate social services, those types of things. So yeah, we do a variety of things. And a lot of what we do is advocacy. We go with them to appointments. We do case management work. And, you know, to be able to help the deaf New Americans navigate America, which is a very complicated system.
Thanks.
And actually, the farm is kind of like the hub of what we do. It's a place where, yes, we can grow food, but it's also a place of socialization and just leave the city behind and be out in the fresh air, just let go of everything else that the deaf New Americans struggle with on a daily basis, hang out with friends, and we can grow fresh vegetables. We can be involved in our traditions, and we can do whatever we like there. It's fascinating. That's one of the reasons the farm is so unique, is it has a myriad of benefits for mental health and nutrition. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been really amazing to learn about the farm and all of the work that you are doing. And we really appreciate you sharing your story with our community.
Thank you too. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I have plugged the evaluation. I know Jay and Manu were interested in receiving your feedback, so please fill that out.
Yes, please do. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. Have a good day.
You too.